Welcome back to Sad Dad. My name's Dave Abkarian, and I am a comedian out of Fresno, California. And this is a podcast where I sit down with my fellow funny friends, my fellow comedians, and we talk about dads. Hi. Episode 30, you guys. We did it. Wow, man, that's so many dads. It's Rick Wood's dad, and like Aaron Weaver's dad, Hassan Ahmad's dad, Katie French's dad, Brandy Posey's dad, Lisa Curry's dad. Oh man, Danny Minch's dad. Oh, there's so many dads. Joe Kay's dad, Matt Cole's dad. Just dads. Chris Estrada's dad. Oh my gosh. And today I have two more dads to add to that list because today I have a real special episode for you. It is a Sad Dad double feature where I actually had two shorter recordings, shorter interviews, and I didn't want to release them on their own, so I decided to double them up so you get double the dads today. And my guests today are a gentleman named Tosh Martin and another gentleman named Sumeer Suri. Both very funny comedians. Tosh is actually a guy here out of the local scene, the Fresno Clovis scene, and Sumeer was up doing a run of shows with me back in September. I think I recorded this, and he was up from Los Angeles, and had a great sit down chat with both of them. Learned a lot from both of them. Tosh taught me. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but I feel like there's certain points where, like, in the Tosh interview, because he's quite a bit younger than me, and I kind of feel like a dad asking him like dumb dad questions about music. It's fun, and Tosh is real fun. I love him to death, and Sumeer's out of control. He's so funny and he's so fast, and he's hard to keep up with sometimes, but you'll find out, and I think you're gonna like both of these episodes. So let's kick this thing off with my buddy, my friend, Tosh Martin, everybody. Okay, cool. And I think we're looking good. All right. You've been doing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might sound a little crunchy. I have a dirty like monitor connection, and it gets a little weird sometimes, but just power through.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, but you can hear it in both stereo, both sides.
Yeah, both sides. Yeah. That sounds good.
I thought that was like a major technical issue. It just turned out I had the wrong connection there. It was just the dumbest thing.
Happens.
It happens. Yeah, totally, man. So anyway, yeah, you've been working on some cool stuff, man. You showed me some of your music.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
No, I've been really excited about that, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been plugging away. You got art. What? I know you've told it to me, but just tell it to me again so people can listen.
So
what's the concept?
no, it's a kind of a concept album, I guess. It's me as Gengar, the Pokemon, just rapping about other Pokemon.
What's it about? Why that specific Pokemon?
I don't know. He's just dark and he's probably emo in high school.
Yeah, you know? I get that.
Just everything I was in high school.
I totally. I mean, Pokemon was definitely a thing when I was a kid, but I think I was like 7th or 8th grade when it like became a real popular thing, and I think I like kind of missed the window on it. I didn't play any. I didn't own a Game Boy, so that was. I know a lot of people. That's a gateway. Yeah. I mean, what came first, the cards or the game?
I think it was the cards.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It was before I was born.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. I kind of like retroactively tried to get into it, but it was. Right. I just have such a hard time. So many of my friends are such big Pokemon like fans and can nerd out on it, and I'm like, I don't know anything.
Well, then Gengar, he's a dark emo, like kind of chubby dude.
Yeah.
And he just like has his hair like all up. He probably listens to My Chemical Romance on the side. Helen knows his theme song.
Yeah. It's a great song. I mean, go Gengar.
Right.
That's funny. But you're rapping on it.
I'm rapping.
Yeah. That's pretty.
And screaming.
And yeah, you were.
Yeah.
I heard you talking to Heath about that. That's a thing, huh?
Yeah.
It's like you were saying that was kind of a trendy
It's like
thing.
a new trendy thing. It's just like
to like scream over.
Yeah, like emo rap.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's great, man. Because you've got a pretty good scream.
Thank you.
I've actually heard it on stage while you're doing comedy.
Yeah, I do it on a song.
I wonder if that's going to be a thing. Screamo comedy. Yeah. I mean, there's already people that kind of raise their voices.
Yeah. Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison was, yeah. I don't know if you call him emo, but
yeah.
He was, he had some, I don't know, death metal elements. I don't know what's the premier screaming genre of metal? Like metal?
There's so many.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sound like a fucking asshole, like metal guy. Just like, there's like technical growling deathcore. There's fucking.
That's fine.
Yeah. It's just, it's just all about preference too.
Sure.
I mean, like a lot of there's like metalcore, and then that's just like. I'm such a dick. I call that pussy shit. Just like get that fucking pussy shit out.
Metalcore. What's like the best one as far as you're concerned?
Me, it's deathcore, and that is definitely. I'm gonna get punched in the face by 8 people for saying that. But because that is really frowned upon in the metal community.
Is it really?
But I made a whole movie about deathcore.
Nice. So. Yeah. Is it like? I mean, the difference between like deathcore and literally any other core. I mean, is it significant, or is it just the timing or the tempo?
Well, I think what it is it's hardcore elements and death metal elements combined, and so like you can have guitar solos, but also like super slammy breakdowns. So they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is fun. Okay, that's cool. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to make the distinction. Like, I could tell you a lot about what's going on in the song, technically. I mean, I know enough about music. I know what I like. But yeah, that makes it. I mean, it all seems like this weird nuanced thing between these different like subgenres of metal.
Right. No, it totally is, and like no one can get along in metal.
Is it? And like, is it just an identity politics type of deal where you're like, I identify as like deathcore?
Kind of.
And like that's my tribe.
Well, it's a big part of it is a lot of metalheads and punks. They hate each other. They hate each other, and it's stupid. Yeah. Because hardcore and death metal are very similar. Sure. And I don't know if they'd all just get along. If we can all just hug each other. Yeah. But they all like if you see like a metalhead at a hardcore show, they'll just get the shit beat out of them. Vice versa. Was there like a what's the word I'm looking for? Was there like a sinking of the Lusitania moment, like between the hardcore kids and the metal kids? You know what I mean? Like, was there one big moment that just set them all off for forever? I think it's really politics when it comes down to it. It's just like because punk is like fight the power of the man, and a lot of metalheads are skinheads. Which is like old school metalheads are like kind of like if you go to like an old metal bar, it's like a Nazi bar, which is terrifying. I got you. Yeah, so it's almost like a weird like progressive versus conservative type of it's weird type of deal. But then I could see where being like a fan of deathcore, like you are, which is a weird blending hybrid of both. The two. Yeah. I could see why nobody would like you. Yeah, no one. I get it now. Yeah, I learned a thing. Holy shit! This is why we do this. That's great. What's your? I mean, because you're a musician. You've got a musical background. How'd that all come about? You've been playing guitar for a long time? Yeah. Well, I was I think I was 8, and I told my mom I wanted a guitar for Christmas, and she said, "Well, you have to learn piano first." Ooh. And so I took 2 years of piano lessons, and then when I was 10, I got a guitar. And I learned Wonderwall right away. Attaboy. It's the first one I had to learn. Because I wanted to get laid at 10. So I'm going to be the first non-virgin at my school. I play guitar. Right. Totally. That's something, because I'm a musician myself, but that's something, if I could go back and redo it, I would want to learn piano first. I learned the guitar. And I feel like piano is such a good foundation for like literally everything going forward. Yeah.
And there's so much you can do with the keyboard. I mean, you can be in so many bands.
You can.
Like if you're a decent keyboard player, you can do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's great.
Yeah,
and
keys are fun.
And you've played in and out of bands. I know.
Too long.
Yeah.
In and out of bands.
Where did when and how did comedy come into the picture for you?
So I saw my first special when I was, I don't know, 12, my first comedy special. And it was by a comedian who's not too big. He's a motivational speaker now. Kyle Cease.
Oh, yeah.
So my first comedy special I ever saw was Kyle Cease's Weirder, Blacker, Dimpler.
Oh, funny.
And it was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then I saw Raw by Eddie Murphy, like in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And I was like, I memorized it like the second time I watched it. And I would just go around doing all these Eddie Murphy jokes and claiming them as my own, even though I had a super black voice. It was very racist, and I didn't realize it because I was 14.
Well, we were all so young.
So I was just like, yeah, these are my jokes, guys. And they're like, you should do them on stage. And then I discovered Bo Burnham in 8th grade.
Sure.
And that was also a big thing because I knew how to play guitar.
Right.
And so I learned all the chords, and I would play them for my friends. And they're like, you really need to try comedy. So I gave it a shot when I was, I think, 18 is when I started. 18 or 19.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What was your first open mic? Was it Grog's?
Mother Mary's.
Mother Mary's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Danny.
Yeah.
Aww.
First one.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
It's a great story. And so so it was just you. You're like, I'm telling these Eddie Murphy jokes. Yeah. I think I need to do them on stage. I can hit the big time.
Yeah. Well, I started writing my own jokes after I graduated high school.
Oh, okay.
And I think I actually wrote my first joke in high school. After this girl, I haven't done this joke in so long, but I wrote it after this girl who used to not smoke weed, and then she started smoking weed and became this totally different person.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's hilarious. I'm gonna make a joke about it. And then I just started like getting the feel of writing jokes. I was like, I love doing this.
Getting the rhythm, the pacing, and everything. Yeah, it's funny, like, because I never thought of it, like, before I was doing comedy, like, I would put up funny or silly posts or whatever, and I never thought of it as writing jokes. I always thought of it as being funny.
Right.
I'm just being funny. Like,
yeah.
I'm not, I mean, it's like, oh, I guess you could call that a joke, but really I'm just trying to be funny. Like, you know, and it's funny that I thought of it in this really, like, loose term, but I mean, if I go back and look at some of these old posts that I was writing 4, 5, 6 years ago, I was like, oh, there's a setup, there's a punch, and sometimes there's a tag. Like, I just never thought of it in the context of being a joke. It was just like, quote unquote, being funny. I'm just trying to be funny. But yeah, that's neat that you can kind of like weaponize that sense of humor and turn it into something. Well, that's great, man. And you're a semi-finalist in the Central Valley Comedy Competition.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, dude. Going up, you're going to be, it's what, Chuck Chansey?
Yeah, Chuck Chansey.
Was it October 18th?
19th.
Nice. October 19th. Chuck Chansey Casino.
Yeah.
Where is it? It's like
fucking Oakhurst. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's I've never been there. I've never been to a casino in my life.
I know. I think Table Mountain's on the way to Oakhurst.
Table Mountain's, I think.
No, you're
Friant,
right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, Chuck Chansey is on the way to Oakhurst.
Piece of shit Josh lives in Friant. So.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Josh.
Yeah, good. It's a good thing. So I've been to his house before, and then to Table Mountain's like right there.
I don't know if I've talked about it on this podcast before, but I really like the town of Friant as a set piece.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a weird, because it's this town, for the listening audience, it's this town that's at the base of an enormous dam. So, like, there's this weird, like, impending doom behind it. Like, I kind of, like, love that thematically.
Yeah.
You know, like, it'd be cool to set, like, a Stranger Things-esque, like, show. Like, kids riding around on their bikes, fighting monsters. Yeah. Like, you know, I think that would be great. There's some monster in the lake behind the dam or something. I don't know.
Just like... based in Friant, California.
Yeah. Just looking at it and just the way the dam just overlooks the entire town. It's great. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that
Ron
was
Perlman to play the detective. All right, now, kids, let me tell you something.
Yeah. It's like going in reverse Hellboy order.
Right.
Where like he's now the sheriff in the Stranger Things show. That's funny. Well, it's great, man. And so yeah, the comedy competition. Yeah, you crushed it there. That's great. Have you ever thought about like going out on the road and like?
I want to.
Yeah, you've done like locals. You've gone down to like Barmageddon and Bakersfield. Have you?
No.
I've
Never gone.
What?
I've never gone.
Oh, man.
When I started, I was invited so many times to Barmageddon, and I wasn't 21. And then I turned 21, and I was like, fucking, I'll go down there eventually.
Sure. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I think we're gonna get a show started at Barmageddon in the next few weeks. So, like a Wednesday show, kind of like a Just the Tip show, where
Nice.
we bring out a headliner and do an open mic afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, he's gonna host it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's my best buddy.
He's your best buddy. I love your friendship with Heath. It's like,
We're
so
the two cynical bros.
yeah.
We don't care who knows.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and you know, Heath. I think you pair well together. Like you both like are kind of on the quiet side, but both have this like really wacky inside that you can kind of bring out after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like you both. And every time I see you guys, like when you took that picture, the two of you and Heath in the mouth of the Meg.
Yeah,
I was
we're
like, aw. They're friends.
It's our wedding photo.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, if you want to know who Heath is, I think he is Sad Dad number 25. E3D, everybody. Yeah. Check out Heath. He's fun. Well, it's great, man. This is actually an interesting Sad Dad episode for me because I know your dad.
Yeah, do.
I think he might be the first dad that I know. And, but yeah, I mean, this is the podcast where we talk about dads. And yeah, so I mean, I always like to start from the beginning, man. So like, where did your dad grow up?
My dad grew up in Sanger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know Sanger.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a fun town. Funnest thing about that town is the Walmart.
Yeah.
Never sleeps. The
Walmart
that never
fun
sleeps.
fact. That's where I bought my copy of Spider-Man, the video game, when it came out, because I just happened to be in Sanger the day that it dropped, and I was like, oh, I'll go to Walmart because I need this now. Yeah. And it's like 8 o'clock. Have you ever been to a Walmart at 8 a.m. in the morning?
No.
That's all right.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, like all the employees are like stocking something. Like they all have some cart full of miscellaneous items. But so that's that. Your dad grew out in Sanger. It's a small town.
Yeah, it's a small town. Like 15 minutes from Fresno. So it's. I mean, he grew up there, and he grew up on a farm, pretty much. And and he's,
what kind of because there are different kinds of farms. So is it like raisins? Was he doing raisins, or did he have cattle?
I don't know. I mean, I know my grandpa he worked at a fruit plant. I think he worked at a plant, and so I don't know exactly. I know the house that they lived in was a company house, and I just heard it was like the dopest house in the world.
Yeah,
like my mom. They moved out when I was 2, so I don't really remember it.
Okay.
But like I heard that there was this basement game room, and the entire wall was just centerfolds from like porno mags.
Nice.
From like
Grandpa.
the 70s to now, and it was just like the Bush era.
Oh, that's funny.
Crazy.
Wow, a lot of growing up happened in that basement.
Yeah. Just it was like paint. My mom said.
That's.
So. My dad would take her and was like, hey, yeah, let's go play some ping pong. And then they went down in the basement, and I was like, oh, wow, this is awkward.
So many boobs.
So much Bush.
That's funny. Grandpa
was a real Bush supporter.
Was he? A real, yeah. So he grew up out in Sanger, small town.
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of a kid? What kind of kid was he?
I think my dad was I don't know. He's the opposite of what I was.
Okay.
He's a grade A student. He never got into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
He was an athlete. He was skinny back then, if you can imagine that. He kind of looked like if why can't I think of the guy who played Karate Kid?
Oh, like a Ralph Macchio?
Yeah, like if Ralph Macchio and Andy Samberg had a child.
Funny.
Had a
That's your dad.
Italian Jew baby. This is my father.
That's funny. I forget. So, is it on your dad's side that you're Italian, or is he mixed also?
It's his side. It's a bunch of a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But like, I knew there's like some like Hebrew elements in it, so I just really played on that.
Sure.
I'm like, all right.
In your act, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's funny. And so, he's growing up. He's playing sports. Is he like the popular kid?
Yeah. I think he was the class president, his junior and senior year, which is fucking bananas.
I can see that. Your dad's a pretty dynamic guy. Like he can light up a room when he wants to.
Yeah, he's charming. He's a very charming person. Which I mean, I don't know. He went to school for like college to be an actor. That's what he wanted to do.
No shit.
He wanted to do that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was studying like theater and stuff.
Yeah, no, he wanted to be an actor for like all his life, and I don't know. My mom was like, "Well, it's Hollywood or me, motherfucker." And he's like, "Okay, I'll stay here."
That's actually a good segue. At what point did he meet your mom and all of that?
He met my mom when, I believe, the year he graduated high school, and my mom was a senior. And
okay, she's like a year younger.
Yeah, he went to Sanger High. My mom went to Clovis High.
Oh, okay.
So they worked over on Kings Canyon and Clovis, if you know.
Yeah, I know that area.
So there's a Wiener Schnitzel and a Long John Silver's over there.
Yeah.
And I
think the Long John Silver's is still there.
Is it still there?
That's
where my mom worked.
Funny.
And he worked at the... I'm mixing that up. My dad worked at the Long John Silver's.
Gotcha.
No. Fuck, I don't know. I think my mom worked at the Long John Silver's and my dad worked at the Wiener. Yes, he worked at the Wiener Schnitzel, because every time we go there, he's always like, "Hey, worked at one of these." And I'm like, "Yes, Dad. Thank you." Yes.
That's funny. And so did they get, what was it, like a long courtship, or did they get married right away? Or?
So they started dating, and I don't know. My mom saw him at the Long John Silver's, at the Wiener Schnitzel. I got to get my story straight.
Wow, yeah, man.
She met him one day.
Okay.
On her break.
Okay.
And then he went to Long John Silver's on his break one day, and he's like, "Hey, you're really cute. Can I get your number?" And Mom was like, "Yeah, here you go." And so my mom they got numbers and they met up. And my mom was fucking crazy. She was like, she's 4'10". You've seen my mom.
Yeah, your mom's
She's like 4'10", Italian, and she fucking, like, there's this one girl who went into his work when they started dating. My dad's ex-girlfriend, who my mom went to school with, weirdly enough. And she went into his work when my mom and him were dating, drunk. And
the friend was drunk?
My dad's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, she's drunk. Okay, yeah.
So she was super drunk and pretty much said that she wanted my dad back to... Yeah, and so he called my mom and told her about that. And my mom, the next day at school, just fucking throws her books on the floor, walks up to her. She's like 6'10", this fucking chick. And my mom's like 4'10". And she's like, "Listen here, motherfucker. You stay away from my man or I'll fucking kill you."
That's funny, dude.
That's where I get my shit from.
Yeah. That's funny. You talk about it in your act. Now, you spent some time in your childhood in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd that, like, when and how did that happen?
It was just like, my dad's company sent him there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Got it.
That's good stuff.
Sure.
I don't know. I was very young. Yeah, so, they had a branch out there.
Okay.
A Premier Pump branch. And
Gotcha.
It's nice, man. It's really nice.
Yeah.
We had the choice to stay in New York State or New York City, and we chose New York City, of course.
Sure.
But the branch was in the state.
Okay.
And we would have had a house out in New York State, paid for, and it would have been nice. Or you get the shitty apartment in Queens, and we chose a shitty apartment in Queens.
Well, fair enough, but that sounds fun.
It was fun. I'm so happy we chose
New
York City.
A lot more interesting than living out in the country more. More of that, because you're already kind of doing that out in Sanger. So Yeah, that's cool.
No, it was
nice.
nice.
You were in New York on 9/11. You've got a great bit about that.
That's a fun bit.
Yeah, that is a fun bit. And so growing up, and you have siblings. I know I've met at least one of them.
Yeah, I have three.
Okay.
Three siblings.
Where do you fall in the order?
I'm the oldest.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I was born in Clovis. I was one of the first people to be born at the Clovis Community Hospital.
No shit.
Actually, which I should have a star on my fucking wall for that.
That's wild. Yeah, my daughter was born at Clovis Community. So
really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I beat her.
You
I
sure
beat her
did.
to the punch.
But yes, by a decade or two at least.
So no, I mean it was cool. I was born in Clovis, and I think at 2 months we moved up there. And that was, I don't know. After 9/11, my mom and dad had already been divorced and moved back. He moved back to Sanger, and then after 9/11, my mom was like, "All right, fuck it, we're leaving. We can't do this.
Yeah.
This is shitty."
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, all right, fair enough.
So. Yeah.
Well, okay. There you go. And that was that.
That was that.
9/11 happened, and your mom was done.
I was like, fuck this.
Did you tell her that that's kind of like letting the terrorists win?
Yeah, it is. Oh, really? We're going to leave this place? Look at Lady Liberty. Spit on her face.
Yeah, listen to me. I am 6 years old, Mom. I know a thing or two.
About a thing or two.
That's funny. Sorry, my mic cable's being so dumb.
It's all good.
There we go. And so what was growing up? What was your relationship like with your dad?
Growing up, it wasn't the best in the world, but I don't know. We've gotten a lot better. It's gotten a million times better than when it was when I was growing up. I don't know. High school is always an interesting thing, I think, for sons and dads. I think because I don't know. In high school, you get very same. I think it started in middle school is when mine and his relationship started, but I don't know. Middle school, you start getting your own ideas about things, and you're like. I don't know. I started listening to Rage Against the Machine in middle school. Yeah. And it was just fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, I've said this before, but that line from Zach was wasted on the 90s. Like, if ever there were a time we needed Zach De La Rocha to scream, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. It's right fucking now.
Yeah, it is.
It wasn't in fucking 1992 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Sorry. This fucking mic is being a bitch. Yeah, let me But that's what I get for trusting Amazon's mic cables.
I guess so.
Yeah, they're fucking lame. Yeah, so you're in middle school. You're listening to Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, I'm just so angsty. I'm also starting to listen to Blink-182 in middle school too, which. Take Off Your Pants and Jacket should just be called Angst, the album.
Yeah. That's funny. So you started to Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Yeah, that's where I started off.
Did you go back retroactively in their catalog?
Yeah, then I started off Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and then I went to Rasputin's one day, and the guy was like, "What are you doing? Listen to Buddha." And I was like, "All right." And so I got Buddha.
What was there's Buddha, and then there was Calico Cat, or what was it?
Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire Cat. That's what it was. They have some of those old songs. They're rough, dude. They're like, I talk to you every now and then. Dude. I never felt so alone again.
That's the first song I learned on bass.
That's so funny.
To be honest with you.
Stop to think, I wish you well.
Might take me on a carousel.
Oh, that's funny. This is, humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, check. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Fuck you, Mike. Also, the microphone. There's probably a guy named Mike listening.
Yeah.
He's like, did you aim that at me? Why is he doing that to me? I think yours is okay. But yeah. Oh, fuck this thing. There we go. Yeah. There we go. A nice solid click there. And so, it's so you're listening to this music, and so obviously there's a bit of a divergence in your high school self and your dad's high school self.
Yeah, two totally different people. Yeah.
Into different things.
Yeah.
Was he having a hard time connecting with you?
I think that's what it is, and then I also didn't want to connect with him anymore.
Sure.
And then I was kind of just shutting myself out.
Yeah.
I moved to Clovis with my mom in 8th grade, and then that also really put a big
because he's still out in Sanger.
Yeah. So I think from 2nd grade to 7th grade, I was in Sanger. I was in Sanger schools, and then in 8th grade, I really got a big disconnect, and that kind of sucked. And I don't know, it was kind of like that until my senior year. And my senior year happened, and we really connected again. And I told him I wanted to start doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And he told me, just go for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, I've always wanted to do it too. And I was like, well, don't. Don't kill my vibe, Dad. Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Seriously. I will end you.
And then he did.
And then he did after me. And I was like, copier. Stop it.
He's got a pretty tight 5. I've never heard him really do more than 5, but it was it's a strong 5.
It's a good 5.
Okay. And so I know he said that. Do you feel like in some way it was just him trying to, you think maybe he was just excited that there was finally something, you know what I mean? Like there was something that you were both into and maybe he could connect with you on this one thing finally?
Well, that's a lot of my high school was like that too. In high school, I started the poetry club.
Okay.
And
nice, dude.
Sure. I started the Spilled Ink Society.
Ooh, I like
we were a bunch of slam poets.
Yes.
And once again, it comes from angst, you know? It's just a place of angst. And we'd listen to Panic at the Disco every day and Fall Out Boy. And it was just a good time in the club.
Sounds like a good time.
And we would, instead of, we would cry and read each other's poetry. Oh, wow. And it was like every lunch. And so I got all super into slam poetry. It was just like beatless hip hop that didn't rhyme. Such bullshit. I look back at my old poems now from high school, and I'm like, what is that word? What is that? I'm pretentious as fuck, dude. This is so shitty, and it's awful. And it's but people liked it. I was like, I know how to make people snap.
Yeah, that's nice. That's something I've never done. Yeah, if I'm being honest, it's funny. Good. I know Heath is really he did poetry growing up too.
Yeah, that's something Heath and I really connected on.
Yeah, is it really? I don't believe you. Did you?
No,
really?
He was like,
you were just
I was
fucking
into
with me.
Poetry in college, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, I did poetry in high school, and I don't know, we started doing karaoke together and just started doing Feeling This by Blink-182.
Yeah, your karaoke duets always just won my heart.
They're
it's
always fun.
The best. Well, that's cool. And I always like to end the shows. I always like to ask for a dadecdote.
Yeah.
Do you have like a cool story or profound moment between you and your dad?
I have a few. So like I said, like in high school, I was doing the whole poetry thing, and he was very supportive on that. And I was also lying a lot in high school because when you have bad grades,
fair enough,
and a parent who didn't have bad grades in high school, and who was just, I don't know, he really, I don't know, he wanted to support me, but he also wanted to discipline me. So it was a very, I don't know, it was kind of cool. So he wrote a slam poem dissing me.
What?
Yeah, it was hilarious. I still have it. It's like hung up in my high school binder.
Wow.
It's just, I don't remember what it was called. It was called like fuck the imagery or something like that.
Whoa.
And I've never heard my dad cuss before that.
That's
and it was
funny.
Crazy. And he did it for me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow.
Like, where did he, like, just in the living room or like?
Well, so I had this, okay, so I slept in the garage in my dad's house, and I know that sounds like some Harry Potter shit.
Sure.
But it wasn't. I chose to sleep out there.
Okay.
We had so many records out there and a record player, and it was I don't know, it was a good time. There was this bat that lived in there.
Okay.
So I named her Luna. So I loved my garage. It was a fucking cool garage. My dad came out there one day, and I think we'd fought like before, and he picked me up and we were fighting, and then I just went in the garage, put on some Blink-182.
Yeah.
Just petting my bat. And just crying, just writing some slam poetry.
Yeah.
Like, something like, this one's called Fuck Dad or something. And I don't know, he came out there, opened the door, and I was like, what do you want? And And he was like, and he sat me down, and he stood up, and he took out his paper, and he just fucking busted it out.
Wow.
And I was crying, and he was crying.
Oh, man.
And it was an intense moment, and I was like, I'm sorry for lying to you. And he's like, I just want you to be honest with me. I do all this stuff because I want to support you. Oh. And it was it was just touching.
Pretty sweet.
And,
that he,
yeah, and
for him to like step outside of his comfort zone, and write a poem because he felt like maybe it was the best way to communicate with you. That's actually some pretty strong dadding on his part.
No, it was really good. And that, I mean, a lot of respect. I think that was my junior year, so a lot of respect came back to my dad, and it was I don't know. It was a good thing that happened. I'm really happy that it happened how it did. Yeah. And I don't know. That's great.
Tosh, tell people where they can find you on social media.
Okay.
If they want to, if they need more Tosh in their life.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Tosh Donovan Martin because my full name sounds dope.
It actually is pretty good. Yeah. What? And you're on like the Insta?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Wu-Tang G-Paw. Wu-Tang _ G-Paw. Because New York and Fresno. Yeah. Hometowns.
I love it.
I don't think I'm on Twitter. I think I have one. You can cop my mixtape, Gengar Daddy, This Ghastly Weather on Halloween. Cop that shit, SoundCloud.
Hell yeah, dude. That's great.
No, you can. I have like 3 comedy sets on YouTube if you want to check that out too.
Hell yeah, just Google Tosh Martin.
That should pop up.
That's great, dude. Well, thanks for being on. Had a lot of fun chatting with you today, man. All right, Tosh Martin. It was great, right? I love that man. That slam poetry session with his dad. That was fun. Cool. And so that was just half the show. I still have more dad to go here. So without further ado, let's jump into the second half of our show with the very funny, very talented Sumeer Suri.
Testing.
Okay. We're talking. We're sitting.
How do I sound? Is this a good distance?
Yeah, it's a good distance.
Yeah.
Well, we're in a different setup. We're sitting on the couch. We normally sit at the table when we do this.
Yeah, we're sitting on my bed for the past 2 nights. Thank you very much, Dave.
You have owned that couch. I've watched.
I'm not saying everything I say sounds sarcastic. People think I'm being. This is actually a gorgeously comfortable couch. I've had the 2 best nights sleep I've had in months on this couch.
And it sounds really creepy for me to say this, but I've watched you wake up 2 days now. Because I'm like walking out out of my bedroom to get coffee, and I told you this yesterday, but you wake up as if you've come out of some prophetic dream, like and like you sit up like.
I'm like Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof. I'm like. The ghosts of my ancestors are telling me not to marry my daughter off.
Some oracle appeared to you in your sleep. And
I wake up like I'm being pulled out of a pond.
Yeah, totally.
Like I gasp.
It's like Neo coming out of the Matrix. It's beautiful. I love it.
These are the first 2 nights in months that I haven't woken up to an alarm. Oh. So my body isn't used to being just waking itself up.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like it doesn't know how to transition easily from sleeping to waking. It's just like up. It's just like a switch.
And
you're awake now.
You have to get up early for work too, don't you? Like you were
because I hook.
You hook.
I'm the early bird hooker.
Oh, that's somebody's got to take the day shift.
The rich guys, the rich old guys. They got it before they go to bed at 4 p.m. I got it.
That's wild, man. So what? Where did you start doing comedy? Did you?
I started in LA because I was born and brought up in LA.
Were you really?
Yeah. The reason I have odd things in my speech is that I didn't learn English until I only had Hindi in the house.
Oh,
it was
wow.
and Hindi was my first language.
Yeah.
So I didn't learn English until I started to go to school.
Oh, wow.
And so I learned it from like the people around me, but then also to supplement it, I learned it from, this was the mid 90s. What was on television? The Nanny and Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, no shit.
And so my speech in English is Fran Drescher meets Doris Roberts.
Whoa, yeah, because it almost sounds like you've got like a bit of like an East Coast, kind of a Brooklyn almost, like it's cool,
but it's very non-specific.
Yeah. It's hard to place, but you're like at the same time.
Mix Flushing with Long Island, and that's where I am.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that. My dad was because my dad grew up. Similar situation where he only spoke Armenian.
Yeah.
When he and he had to learn it at school, and that can be difficult. I mean, was that hard for you, like growing up? I mean,
it was. My teacher thought I was retarded.
Oh,
but,
wow.
And she thought I was. And then I, of course, went into comedy and vindicated her.
I knew I had him pegged. There's some grizzled old lady at the back of every one of your shows. Like I knew it.
Miss Mary, she knew.
She knew.
And my mother believed her.
Thanks, Mom.
My mother had no idea. She was like, I don't know how things work. I don't know. I've never brought up a kid in this country before. Maybe this is a problem.
And your parents speak English.
Yeah. Fluent English. Because India is very. If you're like middle class or upper middle class or well-to-do, and my mother is from South Delhi, which is posh, the education is very English. The schools are called like Cambridge and things, and high schools are called things like that. And my dad came to America as a teenager with his family.
Wow.
So you hear all these fucking Indian comics all do impressions of their parents, and it's all the exact same Indian accent.
Right.
And I know that your dad doesn't sound like that. I know you are a good Jew. Your dad does not sound like that. They're all just, it's what the Indian accents they've heard on television or from Russell Peters.
Right.
And that's the accent they do.
Right.
But my dad speaks English with an American accent.
Yeah.
My mother's accent is South Delhi, which is very, Sumeer, I can't drive these like poor people cars. I'm not sitting in your Honda Accord. I can sit in my Mercedes, and that's it.
I love that.
You're driving me, but you're driving me in my car. I'm not.
I love your mom.
This is a South Delhi story. I have an aunt from Niti Bagh, which if anybody knows Delhi, who was visiting me, and we took her in LA to go see the Reagan Library, which they have there, and they have his old Air Force One there, and you can go inside.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they were showing us around, and this is where he slept, and this is where he worked, and my aunt goes, "This is premium economy, yaar. A business class is better than this. The U.S. president should only fly Emirates Airlines." Which tell you now.
That's and so like now, would you? I know you said your dad came here and when he was a teenager
with his family, yeah.
But would that technically make you the first generation?
Yeah,
born here?
because he was brought up half in L.A. and half in Bombay. The first half of his life was in Bombay. Yeah, so I'm still first because both my parents are still immigrants.
Right. That's why. Did you ever find yourself in? Because I have friends that are first generation, and sometimes you find yourself in that weird space where you're kind of like straddling like the old ways and the new ways. Did you ever find yourself in that position where you're?
I still do, yeah.
Yeah.
I still have all of my mother's old, superstitions. Or actually all the old superstitions that as a teenager I thought I was too smart for.
Yeah.
I've now gotten a little bit older and absorbed them.
Yeah.
When anything good happens, I tell almost nobody because I'm scared of the evil eye.
Right.
It's all of those things.
Yeah.
I touch wood all the time. I don't drink water last thing before leaving the house.
Oh, wow.
If I drink water last thing before leaving the house, I take a bit of sugar and put it on my tongue and then
wild.
leave the house.
Is there? I know a lot of like superstitions are based there's usually something practical to them. Was there like a practical reason for not drinking water before?
I have no idea.
Just wild.
It's too long ago. And it's not even, the water thing, I don't even believe. I just do it as a reflex now. Because in my childhood, it was always, whenever I would drink water before leaving, I had to put sugar on.
Yeah.
So now I just put sugar on.
That's
now.
wild. I'd be,
For no reason.
That's fascinating. I'd be super curious about the origin of that. I wonder if there was something to that originally.
Yeah, maybe it's so that you don't have to take a piss when you're out there. Because you never know. They shit on this. I almost missed a flight from Delhi to Bombay because my Uber driver got out and shat in the street.
Whoa.
He was just like, sorry, bye, I have to get out for a second. And got out and shat in the street.
Whoa, that is a culture shock.
Let's go from my mother's hometown to my dad's hometown. Bombay is fab. Bombay is explained so much of my dad to me to keep on saying, because I until this December I was very familiar with all of my mother's old stomping grounds in Delhi. I was like, and I knew her old friends from Delhi and all her people, and I knew this is the pastry shop she went to, this is where she got coffee, this is where she shopped. I didn't really know those things about my dad until this December. I went to Bombay, and my dad wasn't even with me, but I was with an old friend of his who showed me his old apartment building, the park that they played in, the school that he went to, the old places they hung out. And his dad was an airline navigator in the old country. He was in the Air Force and then commercially. Oh wow. And so we saw the old airfield that was near them, and so that was he gave me the old, because Bombay is the LA to Delhi's New York.
Oh, I see.
So it's the beach town where all the celebrities live.
Oh, I love that.
And he took me on a tour of the celebrity tour of Bandra, which is like the Bel Air of Bombay, including the stretch of sidewalk where allegedly the biggest star in India drunkenly ran over a sleeping hobo. And we have to say allegedly because he was convicted, but then it was overturned on appeal.
Okay, fair enough.
Couldn't, because his line was that his driver was in the car. His driver was driving, and everything, like South Delhi and this area of Bombay, like Juhu Bandra, is the closest thing to. I was reading Vile Bodies by Evelyn Waugh, which is about aristotrash in London in the 30s. And it's exactly like that. Everybody is always worried about where their driver is. And I can't stay too long because my driver will leave the car and go have lunch and I won't be able to find it. It's all, it's
just wild.
Who will get the clothes, who, the maid is going to iron all this. It's all that kind of, all of life is a cocktail circuit in South Delhi.
And it's all small little like crises, like going from one minor crisis to another and just having a good time doing it. And,
it's all it's all it's astonishing, the people are going to revolt. It's that kind of thing.
And for you, like growing up, were you kind of a comedy nerd, or were you somebody that was really into comedy?
It was always writing. And so comedy, it was, and stand-up especially, was part of joining the old vaudeville tradition. It was part of Texas Guinan walking on stage and saying, "Hello, suckers." It was part of Gypsy Rose Lee, who was basically a comic. I mean, she was a stripper, quote unquote, but all she would take off was a single glove, and she would just walk around stage vamping with the audience.
Yeah, that's great.
She had a line that,
comedian.
She was like a precursor to all of that. And she had one great line. I don't even remember if she said this on stage, but this is exactly what I feel about my own sex life. She said, "Men aren't attracted to my mind. They're attracted to what I don't mind." And that's a great line.
And people that listen to the show, they know that I nerd out on nerdery. And like you have this great, like this vast knowledge of Hollywood and like kind of like golden era Hollywood. Like you make references to movie stars and actresses that that I've never heard of, and so I'm curious, like how did you get into, like, what was the appeal for you to that when you were younger?
Bollywood now is very like the Hollywood then.
Oh, nice.
I wish our A-list movie stars here now could talk shit, for example, the way they do over there.
Oh, yeah.
But they did here. Betty Davis used to talk shit like that in public.
Yeah.
But, J-Law can't now the way Betty Davis used to.
Right.
But you have, Kareena Kapoor, who is the Bollywood movie star that I've idolized since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with her, and she was the biggest. This was in like 2010. She was the biggest star in India in that point. So she was asked about her competition, and she was like, "There's no competition, yeah. I mean, I think competition has always come and gone in the last 10 years, but I've stayed where I am, and my name has been attached to everyone that's come and everyone that's gone, but I'm still in the position that I've always commanded to be in."
God, how do you not love
it's
that?
always Kareena and competing, but what people don't realize that the and is always, the other name has always changed, but my name has always been there.
I love that. That's great. And so when did you when you first started doing open mics, where were you coming up? I mean, you said it was L.A. Like
it was L.A. It was Flappers.
Oh,
it was,
cool.
I was you're one of those people that got booked at Flappers. They book people who are nobodies. So I was getting booked at Flappers, and I was doing a lot of the Burbank mics because I live up in the valley, and and I was in college. So I, that first year was not hitting it as hard as you're supposed to.
Sure.
Because I was in college and I was also working.
Right. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
And what were you going to school for? Was it journalism?
I was in the journalism school at USC. I was in the dumb bitch major that I deserve, communication. And then I was also doing screenwriting in their cinema school. I was at USC.
Wow, good for you, man. That's screenwriting at USC. Like that's,
yeah, but I was minoring. That's
sure. I guess it's just what a cool school to say that you were involved in the arts at.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
There's also so much opportunity to screw around there that you can. It's like I was not putting in the work my first year into comedy that I should have been.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. And you had siblings, or you mentioned?
Yeah, I got a younger brother.
Okay. Yeah. My favorite line, since we've been hanging out this last week, I was talking about how I was jealous of my daughter being so well adjusted, and you had a great line about your mom. Like, what did
I say?
you were like, how you feel about your daughter is how I feel about my mom. Like, my mom gets up.
Oh yeah, my mother. My mother's life is hard now, but like just now this year because her parents are having health problems. So I have to take care of them.
Sure.
But she just became a lady who lunched. She had the best. She grew up in South Delhi in this world that I'm describing that is like Aristotrash in London in the 30s. Then she married a man who made enough money for her to be a housewife, and then her kids were in college, and she was just going looking for things to do, shopping and having lunch. She has the best life.
That is such a great life. I love that. Oh, that's so cool. And so I guess that's a pretty good segue into, we just talked about your mom. Your dad, you mentioned he grew up in Bombay.
In Bombay,
yeah. What do you know what he was like as a kid? Was he?
He was very. I don't know quite what he was like as a kid.
Okay, yeah.
Because he was, he was friends with my mother's brother.
Okay.
Because they lived in Delhi for like a year before moving out to America. So they knew each other, and that's how. I mean, he went back and he used to go back a lot when he was like early adulthood, and they would date that way, and it was like a long distance relation, and they had a love marriage.
Okay.
But because they were so young, I mean, they fell in love and got married before their parents had time to arrange them to anybody. They were 22 and 23.
Oh wow. Yeah. How and just geographically, how far away is New Delhi from Bombay? Like
New Delhi from Bombay, I think that flight is like an hour and a half or 2.5 hours or something.
Okay, but that's by plane though. Like so I mean, I imagine that's probably
it's pretty far.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty far. Yeah. Okay, cool. So your dad's growing up there in Bombay. It's kind of you were saying Bombay is kind of a hipper, like surfer style town.
It's people much more casual. People like when I went to Bombay in December, there was only I went to a party that first night. There was only one guy there with a shirt with a collar, and everybody was saying, "What, did you just come up from Delhi today?" So it's that kind. Also, people in Bombay are fun, but people in Delhi are funny.
Oh, okay.
Like, people in Delhi are funny. They're mean. They smoke. They go up on the roof and talk shit at each other. I was at a wedding in Delhi in February, and my cousin Badam, and I don't know if this will work in English, but when he said this in Hindi, it was one of the meanest, funniest things I ever heard. He said this to another cousin of mine who's a woman, this poor thing, to hear this at a wedding. This single girl hearing at a wedding, he said, "You know, your teeth are really fucked up. You should get a job in a bar because you'd be opening so many bottles with your teeth, you would straighten your teeth out."
God damn.
And apropos of nothing, he said this to her in the middle of this party.
Wow. And you mentioned that your dad moved to the United States. He was kind of like growing up between both places. When
he started going back to India, I think, when he was a little older.
Oh, okay.
I think his teen years, they were just here, which is why the problem with Apu bullshit is happening now.
Sure.
Everybody's getting, these Indians getting upset about 7-Eleven jokes. I really can't take exception to that because my dad and his parents did work a 7-Eleven in LA in the 80s. They're not wrong. And the Indians who, I actually, I am not one of these offended people.
Sure.
But the thing that, slightly irritates me more than the 7-Eleven jokes from white people is the Indians taking exception to them because it's all snobbery. It's all, I don't, my dad was a cardiologist. I don't come from 7-Eleven trash, but I do. I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't mind the 7-Eleven jokes.
Yeah, I could see that. That's a great perspective on it. Yeah. Because, because you're shitting on humble beginnings for some families,
Yeah. And 7-Eleven, where everyone goes still.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I love 7-Eleven.
I love 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
What's wrong with 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
I still have 7-Eleven taquitos when I'm on the road. I don't give a shit. 7-Eleven is fabulous.
Oh, that's amazing. And so, okay.
You don't got to sue 7-Eleven for malpractice.
What was
your fucking dad swindling everybody out of their kidneys. I don't hear.
What was the? Here's a question. What's the? I guess what was the? I'm sorry. This is a 7-Eleven question that I'm trying to frame. But what was the origin of that? How is it that?
I don't know, and I should look into it.
Yeah.
I think maybe just 7-Eleven happened to be expanding their franchise as a lot of Indian immigrants came into the country. That's my guess.
Sure.
Those were just the people who were the new people who were available to open up.
And did they come over, generally, did they come over with a lot of capital to be able to invest like that? Did they bring a lot of their money with them?
It really depends.
Sure.
Apparently enough of them did that there are tons of them running 7-Elevens now.
Right. Yeah, because
it's also it's not like coming from Mexico. You gotta have the money to afford that flight.
Right.
Before anything else.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I suppose the people that could afford the flight could probably afford other things.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense. But at the same time, too, it's like it's a great mentality to come into it with. They came in and they immediately got to work.
Very old school.
Yeah, it really is, but also very business savvy too.
Yeah.
That's a very smart. You don't see a whole lot of Indian migrant workers or anything. It wasn't that they went straight to manual labor. They went straight to business.
Right. Yeah. But they didn't learn, and this is the thing that a lot of first generation Indians have to deal with now, is that what they learned was how to be hardworking and respectful. They didn't learn how to schmooze. They didn't learn how to be, chummy with the authority figures in such a way that you can get away with murder with them.
Oh, interesting.
And so we didn't have that. And my dad didn't have that. My dad certainly didn't have that.
Sure.
My mother did have that. but didn't instill it in us until she realized too late that she had to, until we were in our late teens, and then but by then it was too late.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So I never had that. I learned that when I was in college on my own, that kind of schmoozy thing.
Yeah.
And sweetie, darling, sweetie. And I think, coming out of the closet was also a big part of that.
Oh, sure.
Because then you have that whole, you can let your real personality out, so it's easier to go, oh darling, isn't this wonderful?
Yeah, for sure.
Which I didn't do till I was 17. And not to my parents till I was 19.
Wow. Yeah, and so your dad, your mom and dad, so they knew each other. But then your dad moved to the United States. Is that how that how it went? Like he was friends
knew
with
each
her
other
brother.
in Delhi. Yeah,
Gotcha. So he was friends with her brother. Then he moves to the United States.
The families knew each other. It was all
it was all interconnected. And so you mentioned the 7-Eleven thing, but like, is he what is he eventually? Did he just go straight into that, or was he going to school too, or did he do?
Well, he dropped out of law school.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
Oh, so he was pursuing law.
Yeah, and then he decided no.
Yeah, it's okay.
And he's not. He's too honest, really, to do that.
Oh, really? Yeah. What was your relationship like with him growing up?
It was. See, it's the damnedest thing. I gotta. My taste in men is a taste in men of somebody who has a horrible relationship with his dad, but I have a great relationship with my dad. I don't know how this happened. I don't know why. I keep falling for these angry drunks. My dad is fantastic. What's wrong here?
That's so funny. That's great. And was he trying to get more of a sense of him as a person? Like, does he have any like hobbies, or does he what's he do for fun?
He doesn't really. It's very, he's very, work and family. He likes to swim.
Okay.
But he's not a very. He's fun loving if we get him to do something. He's not, if we all want to do something fun, he's not a sourpuss about it.
Sure.
But we have to have the idea. He's a very.
But he sounds like he's down for it. Though.
Yeah, he's totally down.
Yeah, that's great.
He's fantastic, but he doesn't. These things don't occur to him.
Sure.
It wouldn't occur to him to go out for a nice dinner, but when we want to go out for a nice dinner, he's like, "Yeah, let's go out."
See, and
he's very zen.
I was gonna say there's a real zen-like quality to that. Because it sounds like he's accomplished a lot of what he wanted to accomplish. He's got the pretty wife. He's got a great business. It sounds like it's been humming along. It sounds like you had a great relationship with him.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it almost comes off like he's like, what more could I ask for?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you guys want to do a thing? Great, I've already got all my things.
Yeah,
let's do your things. And so
he loves cars.
Does he?
He loves cars.
Yeah,
but that's something that is more. I don't know heads or tails about fucking cars. If it has an aux cable and gets me from point A to B, I don't care.
You're a happy camper, huh?
Yeah. So that's more my brother's relationship with him, because my brother's also very into cars.
I got you.
My brother is the one who takes after him.
Okay.
And my brother is very my dad is a kind of serious person. But he's easy for me to make laugh.
Okay.
And so is my brother.
Yeah.
But they're generally serious people.
Kind of stoic and
yeah. They're he's a my dad is like an American man of his dad's generation.
Okay.
He's less like an Indian man of his generation and more like an American man who was born in the 20s.
Oh, how funny.
He has that kind of stoicism.
Yeah.
And that kind of gallantry.
He
doesn't say women, he says ladies.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
that he just has those.
Oh, interesting. What do you think that's from? Like, is that just watching movies, or what? You know, where does
I
that
don't
come
know.
from? Yeah.
It's
fascinating.
It must be.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves westerns. You know, so it must be.
Yeah, that's interesting. And oh, I had another. Oh, I was going to ask you. And I'd love to hear about this. If you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. But like coming out to your parents, like how was that received? I mean,
It was very well. See, like again, my dad moved here as a teenager, and by here I mean L.A. So
Sure.
yeah, I had
that makes
no. I mean, I was never even worried about coming out to him. You know, my mother came here when she was, you know, in her 20s, so it was different, and she didn't have the. You know, my dad speaks English with an American accent, but my mother still has her old accent, and that kind of tells you you know, my dad came here and went to high school.
Yeah.
So he was mingling with everybody.
That makes sense.
My mother came here and was in, you know, she had lots of, you know, like Persian friends. But it was largely like in the Indian community
I got you.
that she wound up. So that was
yeah.
that
So your dad was totally cool, and
my dad's response was, "You've been watching Desperate Housewives all summer."
we kind of knew.
He was like, "Look at the bookcase in your room." He was like,
Oh, that's great, man. That's
all
always
like Broadway biographies.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like
Oh, how funny. That's hilarious. And I always like to ask.
It was all the old women comedians. That's why, I mean, for listeners who don't know, I'm up here in Clovis with Dave's divine previous guest, Anna Valenzuela,
she's amazing.
whom I've been featuring for up here. And so it was all, what was I?
Were we getting at?
What was I? Anna was talking about going back to like Phyllis Diller.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, that was one of the first comics I idolized as a teenager.
Yeah.
And I read her memoir, which is still my favorite title ever of a celebrity memoir. It's called Like a Lampshade in a Whorehouse: My Life in Comedy.
I love that. And this is the part of the show where I always like to ask for a dadictote. Did you have like a particular memory of your dad that really like stands out to you from growing up?
Oh God, I was gonna tell that coming out story because that's my dad. Is that was totally my. That sums up my dad because he's not, you know, he's not what anyone in the family would call the funny one.
Sure.
You know, that's my mother and me, and my dad and my brother are the audience. I love that. That's what they're for. But he and he totally does like dad jokes. When he's trying to be funny, it's very dad jokey.
Sure.
But when he's just being very dry and kind of cutting in a way, but like that's not really cutting, but when he's just being very dry, he can be very funny.
Oh, that's great. I kind of like it though. Like, I mean, he sounds like a great straight man though.
Yeah,
you know, like
very,
like I mean, it sounds like you know, there's you and your mom sounds a little eccentric, and your dad just seems like this great anchor. Like he seems
totally,
like he just kind of keeps everybody kind of grounded. And I love
my mother would be lost with that. My mother would be completely unable to take care of her. She'd better die first because I don't know what she's gonna do.
I love that. Oh, that's great, man. Sumeer, you've been fantastic today. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell the people where to find you? And on
I'm on Twitter at my last name SURI_SAMEER.
Oh, nice.
That's where to find me.
Yeah, that's great, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on. You were a fantastic guest.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us in your house too.
Dude,
your gorgeous house.
I've had so much fun hanging out with you too this week. It's been a blast. So cool.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, brother. All right, guys. Sumeer Suri, everybody. Oh, he was fun, right? That dude is a radiant ball of energy, and I adore the man. if you ever get a chance to go see him live, just do it. It is so fun. Yeah, guys, so that's been our show. 30 episodes of Sad Dad. Wow. Yeah, 32 dads, including my own dad. My own dad is among them. Yeah, so here's to another 30 more with you folks. A few housekeeping things. If you could give this podcast a rate and review on iTunes, you'd be my heroes for forever if you could do that. And then also, too, if you've got any dadecdotes of your own, you want to send my way, I'll read them over the air for you. Send those to saddadpodcast@gmail.com. Oh, and also, too, if you do write an iTunes review for me for this podcast, I'll read it out loud. That's always kind of fun, huh? And then if you want to support the show in a less free but every bit as meaningful way, if you want to sign up for the Sad Dad Patreon. I'll put a link to that in the comments. So, again, guys, thank you so much. I've had so much fun doing this podcast. I've had a ton of fun with my kid being on the podcast, and learned a lot. And I think we've all grown a little bit. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I guess it's October. I've been watching. Some real spooky stuff. Real spooky Halloween scary movie. I watched The Exorcist yesterday for the first time. I had never seen it before. Wow, that was spooky. Yeah. Oh man, can we all just agree, like collectively, as a society, that little girls are the creepiest fucking thing, right? They're so scary. Oh my gosh! I say that as a father to a little girl. She freaks me out sometimes. It's just what they're so quiet. They're so quiet. They don't make it. The boys are always thumping around, making noise. Little boys, but girls, they're just like little raccoon ninjas or something. It's not. She'll like walk out into the living room without me noticing. I'm watching TV. It's dark, and they're right out of. They're short enough to be out of your regular line of sight. So you like scan the room and you don't see them on the first pass. It's like a horror movie. And you like cut back and she's standing there looking at you. It's like, ooh, you want a popsicle or something? What are you doing? Why? Oh, little girls are so scary. Hereditary, I watched that the other day. I'm just like so behind on horror. It's not really my typical genre. I've just been in a spooky mood. I've also been watching that Haunting on Hill House or Haunting of Hill House on Netflix. That's pretty fun. Check that out. Been like binging that. Been putting off getting the whole thing done. Because I've been can't stop watching this scary show. So, all right, guys. Happy Halloween. Happy 30th, Sad Dad. And adios.